On our 10th wedding anniversary, my wife, Victoria Smith, was all over the trending topics, passionately kissing her first love. The dinner I had meticulously prepared became the biggest joke in the world. 10 years of love couldn't melt this block of ice. Her first love was back, and without a care for her image or the impact on her corporation, she kissed Ethan Miller at the airport for all to see. I don't know how long I sat at the dining table, only snapping out of it when the front door opened. Victoria and our daughter were back, and with them was Ethan Miller. She had brought him home just like that, without any attempt to hide it. I stared at them, my eyes falling on their hands. They were holding hands as they walked into the living room. No words were needed, their actions said it all. I stood up in silence. It was clear there was no place for me in this home anymore. I'm not one to cling, nor did I want to, but I had to take my daughter with me. A woman of such poor character was not fit to raise my child. I had barely taken 2 steps toward her when Rainey, the daughter I had cared for 9 years, pulled her hand away from me and grabbed Ethan's, looking at me with cold eyes. My real dad is back. If you're a good dog, you'll get out on your own. Real dad? I'm a dog? A wave of nausea washed over me, and a fire ignited in my chest. I hadn't wanted to make a scene. It was one thing for Victoria to betray me and run back to her first love, but to have my daughter call Ethan Dad? Is that any way to speak to your Uncle Johnson? Victoria said, though her tone was placating, not scolding. Uncle Johnson? I struggled to keep my voice steady. When did I become Uncle Johnson? That was my daughter. What was Victoria trying to do? Mom, didn't we agree outside? We were going to kick this useless person out as soon as we got home. Why don't you go upstairs and play? Victoria said, pinching her daughter's cheek. Don't worry, your father and I will handle this. As she said this, she gave Ethan a tender look, a look I'd never seen before. With me, she had always been as cold as ice. My face hardened. I waited until our daughter had gone to her room before I spoke. Is she not my biological daughter? I'm sorry, Ethan said, with no trace of apology in his voice, only a hint of smugness and provocation in his eyes. Victoria and I were young, we crossed a line, and we never thought. Well, it must have been a gift from heaven. I stared at Victoria, my voice rising. I'm asking you, is she my biological daughter? We did a paternity test. She's not yours. I'll compensate you, she said, her voice calm and methodical, as if money was all that mattered. Compensate me? With what? My expression grew colder. 9 years of my life. You said you were afraid I favored boys and didn't want another child, so I had a vasectomy for you. How can you compensate me for that? Sincere Johnson, watch your tone. Victoria's face turned icy. I've put food on your table and a roof over your head for all these years. You don't get to yell at me in this house. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of devotion to her, 9 years to our child, and she dismissed it so lightly. She provided for me. She was the one who didn't want a nanny, worried they wouldn't care for the child properly. She didn't want to give up her career, so she asked me to be a stay-at-home father. And now it was twisted into her providing for me. Even so, I could have accepted it. Feelings fade, but the child not being mine, and for her to say such shameless things. Victoria Smith, oh Victoria Smith, you really think you're something, don't you? Without me silently supporting you, secretly running things behind the scenes, you wouldn't be the president of a corporation. Your company would have gone under years ago, provided for me. Everything you have I gave to you. And since that's the case, I'll take it all back. Seeing my silence, she placed a bank card on the table. There's $1 million in there. It's enough for you to live comfortably. Be decent, pack your things and leave. You think money can fix this? Not enough? Victoria's indifferent gaze fell upon me. She took out another card. This one has $5 million. If you want it, you have to publicly admit to having an affair. I've already picked out the person. As long as you confess to the media, the $5 million is yours. I walked over and snapped both cards in half. Victoria Smith, you underestimate me. This isn't over. Her face was a mask of cold fury. She poked me in the chest with her finger. You'd better think about who you're dealing with before you act. I'm giving you a chance to leave with dignity. If you refuse, don't blame me for what happens next."
"What happens next?"
My heart felt like it was bleeding. This is what I get for all my years of devotion? Even a block of ice should have melted and gained some warmth after all this time, but she remained so cold toward me. "Victoria, calm down. After all, Sincere has been taking care of our daughter. If not for my sake, then for hers." Ethan stepped in, playing the peacemaker. He put his hand on my shoulder, not in a friendly gesture, but like an elder lecturing a junior. He looked at me. "Sincere, I'm sorry about what happened with Victoria, but as a man you need to look forward. You can't force love." "Who do you think you are trying to play the good guy here?" I said, slapping his hand away. Ethan stumbled back and hit the wall. "Victoria, it's not Sincere's fault. I just lost my footing," he said, his face contorted in pain as he deliberately crouched down. "Are you okay?" Victoria rushed to his side. "You bully, don't you dare hurt my daddy." My daughter charged at me, grabbed my arm, and bit down hard. A sharp pain shot through my arm. She showed no mercy, tearing a piece of flesh from my arm. Pain. It was an agonizing pain, but it was nothing compared to the emotional damage. Bitterness filled me. From changing diapers and mixing formula to every late night and every fever, I was the one who cared for her. The first word she ever spoke was Dada, but as she learned to talk, after Victoria started taking her out on weekends, things began to subtly change. Victoria showed me no respect at home, and gradually the child followed suit, and I wasn't allowed to discipline her. I always believed that kindness would be met with kindness, that a heart of flesh could be moved. Now I see how wrong I was. Perhaps Victoria had been telling the child for years that I wasn't her real father. I never imagined a child so young could be such a good actress. Blood trickled down my arm and dripped onto the floor. No one noticed. No one cared. Victoria and the child were gathered around Ethan, fussing over him. There was no longer a place for me in this home. I turned and walked toward the door. Starting tomorrow, I would make Victoria Smith understand that every action has a price. "Stop," Victoria's cold voice cut through the air before I could leave. "Apologize to Ethan. It's fine. It's just a small scratch. It's just... Ethan caressed his watch with a pained expression. "It's a shame about this watch you gave me. Remember? You bought it for me 6 years ago when you brought our daughter to see me for the first time. It has great sentimental value." The ungrateful brat snarled at me. "You dumb dog, you broke my daddy's watch, you have to pay for it." Victoria glared at me with equal fury. "Get on your knees and apologize to Ethan, and you will replace the watch." I looked at the three of them, my gaze turning cold. Ethan's words echoed in my ears like a clap of thunder. 6 years ago, with my secret support, Victoria's company had finally turned a profit and was on the right track. She had shed her ugly duckling status and was becoming a swan, moving in the upper circles of Seacliff City. Her status had risen, and she had money. She said she wanted to go on a trip to relax, that she was giving me a break too, so I could enjoy some personal freedom. I never imagined she was taking our child across the ocean to find Ethan. No wonder she always had excuses, too busy with work, not feeling well to avoid my intimacy after she came back. It was just like they say online, her hot and cold behavior was because she had someone else. And to think I was worried about them traveling alone, that I had gone to great lengths to get a blessed pearl bracelet from a master for my daughter to wear for protection. The pearl bracelet. My eyes fell on my daughter's wrist. The bracelet was still there. I was taking that back. I walked straight to my daughter and snatched the bracelet from her wrist. "What are you doing?" Victoria shouted. Ethan's face also grew cold. "Sincere, don't involve the child in our problems. She's young and didn't know better when she bit you." "I'll apologize on her behalf. Give the bracelet back." I suppressed my rage. "This is my property." "Yours?" Victoria frowned, grabbing the bracelet and yanking it hard. "You bought it with my money, and you have the nerve to call it yours? Do you own a single thing on your body?" The pearls scattered across the floor like my shattered heart. Still not satisfied, Victoria stomped on them viciously. I was worried this piece of junk would cause problems on my daughter's wrist. And you're using it as an excuse to bully a child. Are you even human? Dumb dog, Rainey yelled, stomping on the pearls before running to Ethan's side. Daddy, that dumb dog's eyes were so scary just now. I'm scared. She started to sob. You wretch, I wouldn't dare lay a finger on my precious daughter, and you think you can scare her? Victoria slapped me across the face, and Ethan finally saw his chance. He had been waiting for a justifiable reason to act. Victoria, let me handle this. Don't dirty your hands. He stepped in front of me, his eyes cold. Victoria and I have been trying to talk to you reasonably. We even offered you compensation. But you're just making a scene and bullying my daughter. Today, you will apologize to my daughter. The ungrateful brat stared at me venomously. And you have to apologize to my daddy. And pay for his watch. She kept calling him daddy, each word a stab to my heart. Apologize. Right now, Victoria commanded coldly, or you won't live to see tomorrow. You started this. I'll finish it. I pieced together my broken heart, my gaze becoming calm. An apology was due and justice would be served. I was rough just now, and I scared the child. My eyes fell on the ungrateful brat. I'm sorry. Apologize to my daddy, she said, a triumphant look in her eyes now that I had apologized. I looked at Ethan. I pushed your hand away too forcefully and hurt you. I'm sorry. Victoria looked at me with disgust. You wretch, a spineless wretch who only bullies the weak. I thought for a second you had the guts to be a man, but the moment Ethan speaks, you cower. A born loser. Her voice grew colder. Now let's talk about compensation. That watch cost me $2 million 6 years ago, but if you admit to cheating, I can forget about the compensation. They thought my apology was a sign of fear, but they didn't know I was just getting ready to settle the score. I looked at Victoria. $2 million. I'll pay. You'll pay? Her eyes were filled with disdain. In cash, right now. I'd like to see how you'll keep up this act. The little brat looked at me mockingly. Dumb dog, have you ever even seen $2 million? I didn't say a word, just took out my phone. Could you please deliver $2 million in cash to Willow Creek Estates? I'm Sincere Johnson. You should have my exact address. Yes, thank you. Victoria frowned. She also made a call to the company's finance department. From now on, any large fund transfers must be approved by me. If a $2 million transfer comes through, stop it immediately. As the legendary female president of Seacliff City, Victoria's marital status was well known. Everyone at the company knew I was her husband. She had given me a nominal position at the company, clearly afraid I would embezzle funds. Hanging up, she glanced at me. I almost forgot you've been on the payroll all these years. You've been paid quite a bit, but I hear you never come to the office. I'll be getting that salary back, and, as of now, you're fired. I never go to the office? I took care of that ungrateful brat for 9 years, and now I'm accused of never going to the office. I watched her in silence, waiting to show this woman just what the man who never goes to the office is capable of. I couldn't be bothered to talk to her anymore. I sat on the sofa, sipping tea, and waited patiently. Dumb dog, get off my sofa, the brat shouted, walking towards me. I shot her a glare, and the ungrateful brat froze, not daring to move. Ethan gave me a cold look and pulled the brat to his side. Daddy will take care of him later. The perfect family of 3 whispered sweet nothings to each other, not even trying to hide it, deliberately trying to provoke me. I remained unmoved. In less than half an hour, the doorbell rang. Seeing who was at the door through the monitor, Victoria's face lit up. It was a double blessing. Such an important person could only be here because of Ethan. Victoria hurried to open the door. President Price, please come in. She had recently applied for a loan from Dragon Bank, the largest national bank, and the only one that could provide the capital she needed for her next venture. But her loan application had been stalled. She never expected the president of Dragon Bank, Quentin Price, to show up at her door. Suddenly she understood. Her guess was right. The person who had been secretly supporting her all these years had to be Ethan. "Uncle Quentin," Ethan said, walking over to Quentin Price. "I've missed you. I thought I'd never see you again. I just got back and haven't had a chance to visit. I can't believe I'm seeing you here." President Price shook his hand. "How is your mother's health?" "Good, always good." "Is your wife feeling better?" President Price smiled. "Thanks to the help of a benefactor, she's in perfect health now." Victoria watched this exchange, her conviction solidifying. She secretly congratulated herself on that trip across the ocean 6 years ago. "Honey," Victoria glanced at me, "this is President Price from the head office of Dragon Bank, whom I've told you so much about. Go and get the best tea we have." Still trying to play the loving couple so you can later expose my infidelity and paint yourself as the victim? I ignored Victoria. "Uncle Quentin, come, have some tea." President Price hurried over to the sofa. Seeing my empty cup, he quickly poured me a fresh one. "Mr. Johnson, please allow me. Uncle Quentin, you two know each other?" Ethan asked, sidling up to them. President Price didn't answer directly, just kept his eyes on me. "Knowing me isn't something to be ashamed of," I said. "My relationship with President Smith is over. There's no reason for us to be husband and wife anymore. Here, this is Mr. Ethan Miller, her true love. They've been secretly together for 6 years. Don't talk nonsense. Ethan and I are innocent." Before Victoria could say more, President Price's reaction made both her and Ethan's faces change. President Price said urgently, "Mr. Johnson, I had no idea. If I had known, I would never have shaken hands with such scum. He was so anxious that sweat beaded on his forehead. I smiled faintly. "I don't blame you. Did you bring the money I asked for?" President Price immediately had his men open the briefcases. "I brought extra, $5 million in total. If it's not enough, I can have more sent over." "Give $2 million to them," I said, pointing at Victoria. President Price immediately had his men give $2 million to Victoria. She was stunned. The Quentin Price she had pulled every string and called in every favor to meet was here to deliver cash to me. How was this possible? But the scene unfolding before her was undeniable. "Now, let's talk about compensation for the pearl bracelet," I said, looking at Victoria coldly. Victoria finally snapped back to reality. Ethan had also recovered, and after a quick exchange of glances, Ethan spoke. "Uncle Quentin, you're a connoisseur of antiques and you've studied prayer beads. Why don't you help us appraise this bracelet?" Ethan handed a few of the pearls to President Price and continued, "I can see you and Sincere have a good relationship, but I trust that with your integrity, you won't be biased in this matter. As long as you tell us the value of the bracelet, I will compensate Sincere." As he spoke, he shot me a provocative look. He wanted to use this to prove his relationship with President Price was better, and at the same time, use the banker to humiliate me. It would be perfect if President Price declared the beads were cheap street market junk. President Price took the pearls, examined them for a moment, and a look of astonishment crossed his face. "Mr. Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, this is the pearl bracelet you received from Master Lumen 6 years ago." "Correct." "Uncle Quentin," Ethan's tone grew heavy. "This isn't funny. Do you really think my family moved abroad because we ran into trouble? The opportunities overseas were far greater. That's why my family went there to expand. Why don't you ask your legendary female president, Victoria Smith, how the Miller family is doing overseas? And while you're at it, ask her how she became the legendary female president of Seacliff City over these years. I'm not happy that you're siding with Sincere like this." Victoria stood up straight. "President Price, I've spent a lot of time overseas with Ethan these years. His family is incredibly powerful there. And the reason I was able to grow my business is that Ethan has been secretly supporting me. The largest shareholder in the Smith Corporation is the Miller family. With just a little help, Ethan turned the Smiths into a top family in Seacliff City. Are you sure you want to get involved in this?" Hearing Victoria's words, I finally understood why she was with Ethan. She mistakenly believed he had been her secret benefactor all these years. It seems Ethan had a hand in misleading her. I wonder what expression she'll have when she learns the truth. I was starting to look forward to it. As for Ethan, his face would surely be priceless when he found out the real reason he was able to return to the country. I remained silent, not in a hurry to expose them. I wanted them to climb as high as possible before they fell into the abyss. President Price glanced at me, and seeing that I wasn't speaking, he said, "No matter what you say, this bracelet is the work of Master Lumen. As for how the Miller family is doing overseas or how you built your company, I have no interest. What makes him worthy of meeting Master Lumen?" Victoria's voice was icy. Ethan's face was grim. "Uncle Quentin, Master Lumen is a revered figure. If I recall correctly, 10 years ago, you and my father went to seek an audience with him to ask for a blessed amulet, and you were turned away. Master Lumen has a rule. He only receives guests once every 10 years, and he makes no exceptions. The people who get to see him are all major figures in the country. Are you telling me this Sincere Johnson is more important than you? In front of Mr. Johnson, I am not even worthy of tying his shoes," President Price said frankly. Ethan sneered. "Uncle Quentin, when the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. When the wall falls, everyone pushes. It's a timeless truth. You used to flock to my family, and now you're helping this piece of trash against me. Since you're so sure this is the work of Master Lumen, why don't you invite him here? If you can actually get him to come, I'll pay whatever compensation is required." Ethan's gaze grew colder as he stared at me. "But if you can't get him here, then even with President Price present, you will kneel and apologize to me today. And the compensation for the watch will no longer be the original price. It was a gift from Victoria, it has sentimental value, and it's a 6-year-old model. It's now a collector's item worth at least $20 million. President Price immediately looked at his subordinate. "Go get the money." "Wait," Victoria spoke up. "I don't need money, and I certainly don't care about $20 million. I want you to replace it with an identical watch, a Patek Philippe, manufactured 6 years ago. I'll make 2 calls." I took out my phone. First, I called Master Lumen. "Master, I've run into a little problem here. Could you please come over? You know the address, right? Good. I'll wait for you." After ending the call with Master Lumen, I called the Patek Philippe main store in Seacliff City. "This is Sincere Johnson. Please send a professional to my location. A watch has been damaged and needs to be assessed." Then I made another call. "Bring me all the Patek Philippe watches from my collection that were manufactured 6 years ago." Ending the calls, I looked at Victoria and Ethan. "Just wait. Half an hour at most. Such a show-off. Let's see how you'll clean up this mess in half an hour." In less than 10 minutes, a car pulled into the villa's driveway. When they saw the person getting out, Victoria and Ethan were stunned. Master Lumen walked into the living room, hands clasped together. "Patron Johnson, what a coincidence. When you called, I was already on my way. Today is your 10th wedding anniversary with Patroness Smith. You said you wanted to give her a surprise, so I've specially prepared 3 blessed amulets as a gift." What Victoria stared at Master Lumen in disbelief. "Master Lumen, are you sure you have the right person? You prepared a gift for Sincere Johnson?" "No. It's a gift for both Patron Johnson and Patroness Smith and for your daughter." "You're too kind," I said, inviting Master Lumen to sit. "Now Victoria Smith is no longer worthy of being my wife, and this ungrateful brat is not of my blood. I've asked you here today for a favor. This." Master Lumen looked at Victoria and the brat with a sigh. "Patron Johnson, please just tell me what you need." I looked at Victoria and Ethan. "Do you still need Master Lumen to personally tell you the origin of the prayer beads?" Ethan snorted. "So what if it's Master Lumen's work? It has a price. Name it, I'll pay." "I don't need money either. I want an identical bracelet." Victoria glared at me. "You damaged Ethan's watch first. You replace his watch with an identical one, and we'll replace your bracelet with an identical one." She was fearless. There was no such thing as an identical item in the world. Even if it went to court, it would end with a monetary settlement. Even Master Lumen's work had a price, and she didn't lack money. Just as she finished speaking, someone else arrived. It was my butler, and he had brought my watch collection. There were over 100 of them, all displayed before Victoria and Ethan. They knew their luxury goods, and their eyes lit up when they saw the watches. 2 of them were now worth over 100 million. There was also a lady's watch that had been sold at a Seacliff City auction 2 weeks ago, bought by a mysterious person for a staggering 200 million. Fake. They must be fake. Victoria refused to believe it. If this was real, how powerful must I be? I picked up one of the watches and looked at Ethan. Is this one identical to yours? Ethan snapped back to reality. He said with a cold face, yes. Then I'll compensate you. I held out the watch. As Ethan reached for it, I pulled my hand back. Wait a minute. I made another call. I have a feeling there's something wrong with your watch. It might not be real. Before Ethan could speak, the head of Patek Philippe for the Seacliff City region arrived. Mr. Johnson, the man greeted me respectfully. Ethan's face turned pale. He thought of a terrible possibility. Victoria had always said a mysterious person was secretly supporting her, which was how the Smith family had reached its current scale. She had tried to get Ethan to admit it, and his non-committal answers had only drawn her deeper in. For 6 years there had been no problems, and Ethan had gotten so into his role that he really started to believe he was that mysterious person. But today he saw another possibility, and it terrified him. He didn't dare to speak, his mind racing, trying to figure out what to do next. Victoria's face was grim, her thoughts unreadable. The Patek Philippe expert and his team confirmed it. Ethan's watch was a high-end replica. Impossible, Ethan. I gave you a real watch. It can't be a replica. Ethan didn't dare to respond to Victoria's words. He had secretly sold the real watch long ago. The prosperity Victoria saw when she visited him overseas was a sham, a stage he had paid actors to set up to make her believe the Miller family was powerful. In reality, the Millers were on the brink of ruin. He had been so eager to take my watch just now so he could sell it. I stared at Ethan. Mr. Miller, how much compensation are you asking for? Ethan had lost all his earlier arrogance. 2,000. I bought it for 2,000. Mr. Johnson, I was angry earlier and said some things I shouldn't have. Please don't take it to heart. I counted out $2,000 and gave it to him. Ethan wanted to retreat. He wanted to run. I saw right through him. Mr. Miller, now let's talk about compensation for your daughter biting me and your wife destroying my prayer beads. I understand now, Victoria suddenly said, her eyes sweeping over everyone in the room. I understand everything. Sincere Johnson, today I have to settle the score with you. I'm calling the company right now. Every penny you've embezzled you will return. It's true what they say. It's hard to guard against a thief in your own house. You used company money to befriend President Price and Master Lumen, and you secretly bought all these luxury watches. You will not only return the money, but you will also face legal consequences. I leaned back on the sofa, looking at the woman I had spent 10 years with. I thought back to when we first met. If I hadn't been fighting with my family, our paths would never have crossed. And because of that fight, even as she grew colder towards me, I held on to this marriage. And of course, there was the bond with our daughter. I wanted to prove myself. My father had told me that love without a financial foundation was bullshit, and that I should accept an arranged marriage. I refused and left the family. I built my own capital from scratch, helped Victoria start her successful business. At that time, my father found me again. He made a deal with me. If I could live with Victoria for 10 years without revealing my abilities and wealth, he would accept her as his daughter-in-law. So, even though I was perfectly capable of supporting her secretly, I never revealed it. I looked forward to the day I would bring my wife home and prove my father wrong, to show him that true love exists. Today was the last day of our 10-year agreement. I had prepared a special dinner to give Victoria a huge surprise. That's why Master Lumen had prepared the amulets. But she gave me a shock first. And now this woman still hadn't grasped reality, still thought I was using company money. She could be naive, even a little dumb, it didn't matter, because I was behind her. But she could not betray me, that was my bottom line. I watched her, letting her make her call. A moment later, Victoria put down her phone, her face even more grim. "Sincere Johnson, you've covered your tracks well. I won't pursue the money you took before. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. I can't replace the prayer beads with an identical set. Name a price. If you don't want money, you can call the police." I couldn't be bothered to explain. I looked at Ethan. "What do you think my prayer beads are worth?" Ethan saw his chance. Right now he was desperate for an opportunity to prove his worth to me. He said eagerly, "A prayer bracelet personally blessed by Master Lumen is priceless. But if you have to put a price on it, there is a precedent. 12 years ago, Master Lumen held a charity auction. A similar bracelet was sold for $100 million. President Smith, I think a compensation of $100 million to Mr. Johnson is reasonable." Victoria frowned. She sensed the change in Ethan, but she didn't think too much about it. "Since you've said so, then we'll pay him $100 million today." "It's not that I've said so," Ethan explained hastily. "This is the compensation Mr. Johnson deserves." Victoria still didn't see the problem with Ethan's attitude. She just thought it was another one of his tests, like all the times he had asked her for money over the years. These were all his tests. She knew that once she passed, Ethan would officially admit his identity as the mysterious shareholder, and he would bring her and their child even greater opportunities. Victoria looked at me. "I'll have the finance department transfer the money to you right now. But this money won't be easy to take. From now on, you are an enemy to me and Ethan. Believe me, you will have no place in Seacliff City. Let's not talk about the future. Are you planning to use company funds to pay me?" My gaze towards her had lost all its former gentleness. "Do you think you have that authority? As the president of the Smith Corporation, I can move not just $100 million, but $800 million, or $1 billion if I want. You won't get to laugh at me over something like this." "Then try," I said faintly. Victoria immediately called the finance department. "What did you say?" Her voice changed. "The chairman has ordered a full financial audit, and all funds are frozen?" Panic began to set in. The mysterious chairman had never shown his face in 6 years, never interfered, giving her full authority to run the company. The most the chairman ever did was bring in profitable projects. Now this hands-off chairman was suddenly ordering an audit. "Fine, I understand." Victoria hung up. She had been scared for a moment, but soon her worries vanished. She walked over and took Ethan's hand. "Ethan, I was wrong. I shouldn't have agreed to the $100 million. Even if we have to pay, I should have gotten your approval. So that's why your attitude changed. You were playing the fool to catch the wise." In that moment, Victoria thought she understood everything. Ethan's sudden change in attitude, his apparent fear of me, it was all an act to give me hope before crushing me completely. That's what she believed. She was sure that Ethan had used the audit to signal this to her. Luckily, she was smart enough to figure it out, she thought with relief. But Ethan snatched his hand away. "I am a fool, a real pig." Ethan knew about the mysterious person, the chairman who hadn't interfered for 6 years. But now, with the sudden audit, he was more certain than ever that the mysterious chairman was me. He dropped to his knees with a thud. "Mr. Johnson, I am a pig at your command. Ethan, what are you doing?" "Daddy, why are you kneeling to this dumb dog?" "You idiot," Ethan roared. "I wasn't playing the fool. I don't have the right, Victoria Smith. Do you still not see it? A man like President Price has to respectfully call him Mr. Johnson. A reclusive master like Master Lumen personally delivers gifts. Do you think money can buy that? You betrayed your marriage, and suddenly the corporation is being audited. Do you still not get it? The mysterious person supporting you, the mysterious chairman, the largest shareholder, is the man right in front of you. Sincere Johnson, your lover. Your husband apologized to him. Now him?" Victoria stared at me. "How is that possible? He's just a house husband, a kept man who has less status than a dog in this house." Ethan, a man should not kneel so easily. You're taking this act too far. Stop testing me. I really love you. You're the only one in my heart. I was with Sincere Johnson back then because I found out I was pregnant. I didn't know how to keep the child. I needed someone to take the fall. I needed someone to take care of me. I needed financial support. I had no choice but to be with him. After the child was born, I knew you were secretly supporting me and helped me start the company. The moment the company was stable, I came to find you. I've always listened to you. After we met, I never let Sincere Johnson touch me again. Ethan, how long are you going to test me? I would die for you. The ungrateful brat ran to Ethan's side. Daddy, I can vouch for Mom. Her heart has always been with you. Not a dumb dog like Sincere Johnson. Thump, thump, thump. Ethan slammed his head on the floor until his forehead was bleeding. Mr. Johnson, I was drunk that one time with Victoria Smith. I'm willing to accept any punishment, but I swear to you, for the past 6 years, I never initiated anything. It was Victoria who kept pestering me. I always rejected her. And Rainey, I never wanted her to be born. An ungrateful brat like her deserves to die. Daddy, you don't like me anymore? You bastard, who would like you? Mr. Johnson raised you for 9 years and you show no gratitude. You're just like your mother, an ungrateful wolf. You're both heartless dogs. Victoria finally realized something was wrong. She looked at Ethan and saw that he was genuinely terrified. His words replayed in her mind and she started to think back over the years. She remembered how whenever she ran into a problem and complained to me about it, the problem would be solved the very next day. No matter how difficult the problem, it was always resolved. Honey, Victoria walked towards me. Actually, I figured out your identity a long time ago. I was just using Ethan to provoke you, to make you admit it yourself. See? Aren't I smart? She said with a deliberately seductive smile. I can't say if you're smart, but I'm not as stupid as you think. Honey, I was wrong. Victoria knelt. Rainey, come here and apologize to your father. The ungrateful brat scrambled to her knees. Daddy, Mom and I were just joking with you. Please don't be mad, okay? Mr. Johnson, I know you won't believe anything I say now, but everything that happened today was because President Smith asked me to cooperate with her in this act. I smiled. An act, you say? Then let me show you something. I hadn't been idle during their drama. I had been texting people, gathering concrete evidence, flight records for all of Victoria's business trips, where she went, what she did. With money, such things are not hard to find. And I have money, and people. When I displayed the evidence, Victoria's face turned ashen. Isn't it enough that I know I was wrong? You promised to protect me for a lifetime, to tolerate whatever I did. Sincere, you said that at our wedding. You said you would make me the happiest woman in the world. I stood up. Yes, that was my intention, and I made preparations for it. Today, I'll tell you exactly what I've been doing all these years. I looked at Ethan, who was still kneeling on the floor. You told me Ethan betrayed you, that you wanted him dead, that you wanted this rich kid to fall from grace. I made it happen. Only legal constraints saved his life, but the Miller family did indeed fall. What Ethan looked at me in horror. He never imagined that the fall of his family was my doing. I continued, but you hated Ethan to the bone, you wanted him dead. I didn't forget that. So I never stopped investigating his family. And I found some things. Ethan doesn't dare to stay in the country because he has a murder on his hands. For our 10th anniversary, I came up with a plan. I deliberately leaked information to him that the old case was closed, which is why he dared to come back. I was going to give him to you as an anniversary gift. He would have been sentenced to death upon his return. Yes, sentence him to death, Victoria quickly declared. A man like that deserves to die. Ethan's face was pale. He cursed, stood up, and ran, but he froze at the door. He didn't know when the police had arrived, but they were waiting for him. Ethan ran back and knelt on the floor. Mr. Johnson, Victoria seduced me. She's the one who betrayed you. You don't need to deal with me for her sake. I'm willing to be your dog. I'll be the most loyal dog you've ever had. I ignored him and looked at Victoria. Today is our 10th anniversary. I didn't just prepare the gift of Ethan. There's also Uncle Quentin. The reason he was holding back your loan was because I told him to. I wanted to give you a surprise today. The bank has prepared $100 billion for you to develop new projects. And I took out a share transfer agreement. Today, I was going to give you the Smith Corporation completely, to transfer all the shares to your name. I've already signed it. As I spoke, I lit the agreement on fire. Now, you are not worthy. You're right, I'm not worthy. I'm not capable of managing the Smith Corporation. Honey, from now on, I'll stay home and raise our child. I'll be a devoted wife and mother. Too late. I looked towards the door. Someone else had walked in. It was someone from the corporation. He came to my side and handed me a file. Mr. Johnson, this is the documentation of Victoria Smith's embezzlement of company funds over the years. I took the file and looked at Victoria. You've been embezzling company funds all these years. I chose to trust you and not investigate, and I never stopped you. I never thought you were giving the money to Ethan. This matter will now go through the legal process. Honey, you can't do this. Please, you can't. I'll go to jail. Please, for the sake of our child, a child can't be without a mother. You'll be so lonely raising a child on your own. Me raising a child? My face grew cold. What does she have to do with me? Honey, 9 years. I've seen it all for 9 years. You love her so much. It doesn't matter if she's not yours. I know you love this child. Let's give her a complete home, okay? Victoria said, nudging the ungrateful brat. Daddy, I want a complete home. Mommy knows she was wrong. Can you forgive her? It was all that dumb dog Ethan's fault for tricking Mommy, Daddy. I pushed her away. Honestly, from the moment I found out she wasn't mine, I felt disgusted just looking at her. If she wasn't my own, I would have stopped caring for her long ago. Even before Ethan showed up, this ungrateful brat ordered me around. If I dared to discipline her, Victoria would throw a fit. She never saw me as a father, and because of Victoria, I was never able to establish my authority as one. But before, I thought she was my own, that I could win her over with love. Now, there was no need. Uncle Quentin, Master, I'm going home. Would you two like to join me for a meal? They both stood up eagerly, a hint of excitement in their eyes. Given my parents' status, it wasn't easy for them to get an audience. Honey, you had a vasectomy. You can't have children anymore, Victoria shouted at my back. You raised our daughter for 9 years. You must have feelings for her. It's better than adopting. Vasectomy? Just then, a middle-aged man walked into the living room. He walked up to me and kicked me to the ground. I looked at him, annoyed. You won the 10-year bet, and you still kick me? What kind of father are you? If I didn't know the surgeon, you would have really ended the Johnson family line. And you're mad that I kicked you? I froze, a look of surprise in my eyes. Dad, are you saying I'm okay? Of course you are. When Victoria and Ethan saw the man, their faces turned ghostly white. They never imagined that my father was the business tycoon who was constantly in the news. My dad pulled me up. Although you've handled some things foolishly, you've built your own business empire without relying on the family these years. You're my son, after all. Dinner is ready at home, and your mother is waiting. And this time, you're getting married. If you dare to disobey, I'll really find someone to give you a vasectomy. I had lost the 10-year bet. I had to accept it. When I got home, I met the woman I was to be engaged to, Ruby Yates, an heiress from a powerful family who loved to dabble in the film industry and was now the youngest top actress. I had figured something out over the past 10 years. Whether man or woman, everyone looks for something in a partner. Looks, personality, wealth, status. So, it's not shameful to win someone's favor with wealth and status. Seeing this clearly, I accepted the arranged marriage. She was beautiful, and I was rich, and of course I think I'm quite handsome myself. She cleared her schedule and I decided to take a good rest. We got to know each other while traveling the world. She was more interested in the fates of Ethan and Victoria than I was, and always kept me updated. Ethan was sentenced to death. Victoria was sentenced to 7 years for embezzling a huge amount of company funds. The ungrateful brat was sent to an orphanage. I thought Victoria and I would never cross paths again, but while I was still on vacation, I received a video call from her. Victoria had escaped on medical parole. She was standing on the rooftop of the corporation's building, the ungrateful brat by her side. "Honey, I really know I was wrong. Don't marry someone else. Wait for me to get out, okay?" Tears streamed down Victoria's face, but I was unmoved. "Don't hang up. If you dare to hang up, I'll jump with Rainey." "Victoria, we are adults. We have to be responsible for our actions. Isn't it enough that I know I was wrong?" she screamed hysterically. "It's because of this bastard, isn't it? It's because this bastard isn't yours, right? That scoundrel Ethan is dead, and you still won't forgive me. It must be because of this little wretch. I never should have given birth to her. Kneel and apologize to your father, Victoria. Don't take it out on the child." Half a year had passed since it all happened. I had thought a lot of things through, and I had let go. Was the child at fault? A child is a blank slate at first. The child herself was not to blame. The blame lay with Victoria, who had stained that slate black. As I spoke, I secretly signaled to Ruby. She had already quietly contacted the police. I hoped they would arrive in time to prevent Victoria from making another mistake. "I'm not taking it out on her. It's because of her that you won't forgive me. There's no forgiving or not forgiving in matters of the heart. Even if I forgave you, we could never be together. Not getting back with me means you don't forgive me." Victoria was in a very bad state. "Sincere, I'll ask you one last time. Do you still want me as your wife? I'll be back in the country in 7 days. We can talk then. I want you to answer me now." I was afraid she would do something drastic in her emotional state, so I said patiently, "I'll book a flight right now. I can be in Seacliff City by tomorrow. You still won't forgive me. I know no one will. You hate me as much as I hated Ethan for his betrayal. But I eventually forgave Ethan and even got back with him. Can't you even try? Let me show you my sincerity." Victoria suddenly screamed, and she pushed Rainey off the rooftop. "No one is made of stone." Ruby wiped my tears. "I know you gave instructions to the orphanage, and I know you went to secretly visit Rainey many times." I was silent, but the tears wouldn't stop. Ethan was dead, Rainey was dead, and Victoria had also met her end. A year later, their story was sealed away in my heart. I stood outside the delivery room, waiting anxiously. She's born, she's born. It's a girl, mother and daughter are safe. The weight on my heart finally lifted. My daughter, a daughter who shared my blood, had come into this world. This time, I would never let this blank slate be stained with black, not even a little.